Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Connecticut Conversation Series. I'm Joanne Moore. The League of Women Voters was started 104 years ago by women who fought for and won the right to vote in 1920. Since then, we've put our energy into ensuring that everyone can take part in our democracy. The Citizens Election Program offers an even playing field for incumbent candidates and challengers alike. Here to talk more about the Citizens Election Program is Pam Klem. Pamela, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk about the Citizens Election Program.
Well, what is the Citizens Election Program?
The Citizens Election Program is a voluntary program through which candidates for office in Connecticut can receive state funding to help them to run their campaign. It's state grants to support campaign expenditures. And it's a voluntary program. If candidates choose to avail of the program, they will receive state grants for both primary and general election campaign expenditures. And in return, they agree to adhere to both limits on the total amount of expenditures in their campaigns and also to enhance disclosure about what their expenditures are on. Mm-hmm. Candidates for all state offices ranging from the governor and other statewide offices, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Comptroller, et cetera, and also our state senators and our state representatives are eligible to receive the funding.
Mm-hmm. What percentage of candidates participate?
It's high. It varies by year, of course, but in the last several cycles, it's ranged between high 60s to mid 80s of all of the eligible candidates. It is definitely availed by candidates of both parties, and there's a broad consensus amongst people who are running for office that it is a good way to enable candidates who might otherwise not have the opportunity to run to do so.
Mm-hmm. So it benefits the candidates.
Yeah, I mean, it was originally instituted to enhance access to the ability to run. So definitely it benefits candidates, and particularly less well-known candidates, candidates who might not have that name recognition and access to donors, particularly in the early stages of their campaigns. It also benefits the system because we can be confident in our elections that there's not, special interest PAC money, there's not foreign money that is coming into our system that might affect either candidates once they get into office, might affect their decision making, or even the appearance that it might affect their decision making. And so it enhances the integrity of the system as a whole. And also from voters' perspective, even if you're not kind of looking into the reading the reports, you can be confident that if candidates are availing of the program, that they are adhering to this enhanced disclosure and they are adhering to these limits. Mm-hmm. It's a good question. If you're at a candidate debate run by the League of Women Voters, for example, or if a candidate is door knocking and comes to you, to ask them, are you availing of the CEP? And if mostly they will say yes because the utilization is high. Mm-hmm. But if they say no, why? Mm-hmm. Why aren't you?
It's a good question.
It's a good question to pose to somebody who's asking for your vote. Yeah. If you're not availing of it, why not?
Mm-hmm. And how is the program funded?
It is almost entirely funded by abandoned property in Connecticut. So if the state comes into possession of abandoned property, there's a process by which they try to find the owner or the heirs to the owner. But if at the end of that whole process it remains abandoned property, then it is liquidated, and that is the principal form of financing for the program. Which is a story that I learned the first time around that the Assembly attempted to institute the CEP. The State Assembly passed it, but then the then governor vetoed it. And apparently part of that was concerns about the continuity of of funding through the general fund for it. So this was a way, doing it the way that through abandoned property to insulate it from that.
Interesting, yeah. And how did you get involved in working with the Citizen Selection Program?
So I first came to the Connecticut, to the League of Women Voters through my local branch in Wilton, Connecticut, which was a wonderful experience. And through meeting some of the people there, I once attended Advocacy Day in Hartford, sponsored by the State League. And they said, "Are you interested in issues?" And I raised my hand, and that's how I came to the role within the State League of being involved in some of our advocacy.
Mm-hmm. So as our conversation comes to a close, what does democracy mean to you?
Democracy to me is the best tool we have to navigate through our collective issues. I think as we kind of look back at all the other systems in the world over history, there have been other means of governance. There have been other means of trying to solve the problems that face us collectively. But democracy, to my mind, is for all its flaws, as good as it gets to try to get through that process.
Thank you so much, Pam. The League of Women Voters of Connecticut is here to help you make your voice heard. Your voice, your vote. I'm Joanne Moore.